Imagine a night where the very air seemed to shimmer, as though the stars themselves had descended to witness history. The stage lights rained down in dazzling beams, forming a galaxy of brilliance that enveloped every soul in the hall. It was not merely a concert, not just a performance. This was the night when fiction and reality collided, when two people transformed a fleeting stage moment into a cultural milestone that fans would whisper about for decades. Sukai stepped out in a perfectly tailored black suit, sharp yet understated, every step resonating with quiet confidence. His gaze was focused, intense, as though he had been carrying a truth deep inside him for years and could no longer contain it. On the opposite side, Songyun emerged, draped in a flowing white gown that made her appear ethereal under the lights, like a fairy descended from a dream. Her radiant smile and tender eyes seemed to soften even the most hardened hearts. The audience held its breath. Anticipation thickened like a storm before lightning. Then, in the most unexpected turn, Sukai's voice broke through the silence, steady, powerful, and unmistakably genuine. "My wife, Songyun." Time stopped. For a second, no one moved. And then chaos. At first a ripple of laughter, then an overwhelming wave of cheers and tears. Fans screamed, some collapsed into seats clutching their phones, others shouted in disbelief, and countless hands trembled as they rushed to capture the scene on shaky cameras. The hall erupted in an emotional tsunami that no scriptwriter could ever dream of. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Hashtags soared to the top of trending charts. Sukai, Songyun, my wife. Posts flooded every platform, with fans confessing they could barely breathe from excitement. Some laughed uncontrollably, others cried into pillows, and many simply typed the same sentence again and again. "I waited years for this." The declaration was not a passing joke. Sukai's tone carried a weight that pierced the hall. His eyes, burning with a mix of tenderness and determination, locked onto Songyun with a message unspoken but unmistakable. This is real. This is forever. Her reaction melted hearts worldwide. Shock flickered in her widened eyes, quickly replaced by a shy smile laced with tears. She lowered her head, overwhelmed, then walked gracefully toward him. Slowly, she reached out her hand, placing it in his. The audience could no longer contain themselves. The roof nearly lifted off with the thunder of applause, screams, and chants. Someone in the front row even shouted, "Sister-in-law," while laughter and tears mingled across the arena. Social media turned the moment into legend. Memes, edits, and wedding invitation mock-ups appeared within hours. One fan added a song overlay with the caption, "We are all witnesses to their love." It was more than fandom. It was a collective cultural celebration. But behind the glitter, there was courage. Industry insiders later revealed Sukai had deliberated for months about going public. Friends had warned him, in entertainment, exposing love is risky. Scandals, backlash, and commercial consequences loom large. But Sukai's response was disarmingly simple. "I don't want her to carry the storms alone anymore." That night, his words became not only a confession but also a shield. By calling her my wife, he stepped between her and the relentless speculation, offering the most public protection imaginable. This was not a marketing gimmick. This was love, raw and defiant. The entertainment world reeled. Brands scrambled to reassess contracts. Producers debated future casting. Investors reevaluated market value. And fans? They celebrated, crying out that their youth had finally been rewarded with the most authentic love story imaginable. Culturally, the phrase "my wife" became more than a declaration, it became a symbol. A reminder that love, when revealed bravely, can rewrite narratives, break taboos, and inspire millions. Clips spread like wildfire, accumulating millions of views in hours. For many, it redefined romance itself. But such courage comes with weight. To confess so publicly is not just to declare affection, it is to accept scrutiny, responsibility, and permanence. Sukai's words carried the promise of resilience, the willingness to endure storms together. Fans saw not only sweetness, but also commitment. The image of her smile, his steady gaze, and their joined hands will remain etched into collective memory. Whether the storm of fame tempers or tests their bond, this moment has already achieved immortality. It was not simply entertainment, it was a lesson about love, that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is to say it aloud, before the world, without fear. The hours following the declaration felt like a global earthquake in the digital age. In China, live stream servers nearly crashed as millions replayed the clip. On Weibo, the comment section overflowed with poetic confessions, memes, and frantic messages of disbelief. In Korea and Japan, headlines described it as a real-life drama unfolding before our eyes. Western media picked it up too, calling it the boldest love confession in Asian entertainment history. It was no longer just an industry story, it had become a cultural bridge, sparking conversations in languages that crossed continents. People who had never followed Chinese dramas suddenly found themselves Googling Su Kai and Tan Songyun, hungry to understand the magic behind this couple. For the fans who had shipped them since their drama days, the announcement was both vindication and reward. Years of analyzing glances, behind-the-scenes clips, and subtle gestures had finally crystallized into undeniable truth. Entire forums dedicated to their pairing erupted into digital fireworks. Some fans shared stories of how watching Su Kai and Tan Songyun on screen had helped them through lonely nights or given them hope in love again. Others confessed that they had sworn off celebrity relationships as illusions, only to find themselves weeping uncontrollably at this very public confirmation. One fan posted, "This is not just their story, it's ours too. They taught us to believe again." Behind the curtains, however, reactions were more complicated. Executives debated whether Su Kai's boldness was reckless or revolutionary. Some saw the risk: damaged marketability, shifting demographics, possible fan alienation. Others recognized an opportunity: authentic love stories sell better than any scripted scandal. A well-known producer reportedly said, "This is either the end of an era or the beginning of a new one." Stars are no longer hiding, they are daring to live. Beyond the frenzy of lights, hashtags, and headlines, the human story remained simple. Su Kai loved Tan Songyun, and he refused to let her face the storm alone. For years, she had borne whispers, paparazzi rumors, and speculative gossip that painted her as the maybe in his life. But with 3 words, "my wife," he erased doubt, shielded her with truth, and placed himself in the center of the narrative. It wasn't just romance. It was responsibility. A man's choice to protect, a woman's choice to trust, and together, a couple's decision to stand firm in the face of a relentless world. In Chinese culture, the phrase carries more than affection. It signals permanence, family, and respect. It was not girlfriend, not partner, not lover. It was a term loaded with destiny. To call her cheesy was to declare an unbreakable bond, one that fans understood as both tender and unyielding. The phrase ignited endless analysis online. Commentators argued it marked a shift in celebrity culture, where stars no longer pretended to be eternally available for fan fantasies, but instead invited fans into their truth. For many, it was refreshing. For others, it was controversial. But no one could deny its impact. Every love story in the entertainment industry walks a tightrope between intimacy and publicity. Su Kai and Tan Songyun's confession was no exception. The cameras, the flashing lights, the millions of eyes, all of it amplified both the beauty and the burden of their choice. Would brands pull away? Would casting directors hesitate? Would fans turn bitter? These were real risks. Yet, that night, none of it mattered. For once, love overshadowed strategy, and the human heart won against market logic. As the night ended, Su Kai and Tan Songyun stood hand in hand on stage, their silhouettes etched against the golden flood of lights. The audience's chants echoed like a symphony, together, together. Some called it a fairy tale, others a revolution. But for everyone present, it was unforgettable. Long after the lights dimmed and the audience dispersed, the world kept replaying that single instant. Her smile, his steady gaze, their joined hands. It was love stripped of pretense, raw and brave enough to outshine even the brightest spotlight. Decades from now, people will still recall this night. Not because of the gowns, the contracts, or even the hashtags, but because it captured something universal. It reminded us that love, when spoken aloud, can shift mountains. It reminded us that courage, when paired with tenderness, can melt even the cold machinery of fame. Most of all, it reminded us that behind every headline are two people, hearts beating, willing to risk everything for the truth. And so, that night will forever be remembered as more than a performance. It was the night when two stars shone brighter than the spotlights, when truth broke free from silence, and when love conquered hesitation. Thank you for staying with us through this unforgettable journey. Did this story move you to tears, laughter, or disbelief? Share your emotions in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to join 24H News TM so you never miss another story that shakes the world of entertainment.